Imagine a door. It could be any kind of door, interior, exterior, a wooden door, a screen door, the red front doors of St. John's. Perhaps the door is open, perhaps it's closed. When you picture that door, where are you? Which side of the door are you on? And how did you get there? Maybe you chose that side. Maybe that's where you've always felt you were for one reason or another. Or maybe someone has put you on that side of the door. See, there's this man. We don't know how old he is, but he's an adult, and he has been blind from birth. His culture in first century Jerusalem has put him on the outside of the door. No one seems to know what to do with him. He can't work. There's no way for him to earn a living. People assume he's blind because he sinned, or his parents did, and they avoid him. He is on his own socially as well as financially. So he sits near the temple in Jerusalem and begs, listening for the steps and voices of passersby and calling for help. As Jesus is leaving the temple after another argument with the Jewish leadership, he notices this man. Jesus' disciples ask, "Teacher, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answers, "Nobody sinned. This man was born blind that God's works might be revealed in him." Jesus bends down, spits into the dirt, makes some mud, and spreads it on the man's eyes, and tells him to go and wash in the pool of Siloam. The blind man follows the sound and smell of water to Siloam. It's not far, just north of the temple. He washes, and he comes back able to see. The door has opened, and for the first time in his life, he's on the inside. He can have friends. He can work, maybe even earn enough to support a family. He doesn't have to be afraid of falling or being tripped or pushed anymore. He doesn't have to endure casual cruelty anymore. It's as though this man has been reborn. But already people are trying to push him back out the door. Some neighbors who used to see him begging don't believe it really is him. They bring him before the leadership, who interrogates him. The man who had been blind testifies, "Jesus put mud on my eyes, I washed, now I see. Jesus is a prophet." But the leadership doesn't believe him. They call the man's parents and ask them, "Is this your son who was born blind? How can he see now?" The parents say, "Yes, he's our son. He was born blind, but we don't know how he can see now. He's a grown-up. Ask him." So the leaders call the man back and demand, "What did that sinner Jesus do to you?" The man who had been blind says, "I told you what he did. You say he's a sinner and you don't know where he comes from, but this man opened my eyes. If Jesus were not from God, he could do nothing." The leaders reply, "You were born entirely in sin, and you're trying to teach us?" And they drive him out of the door, out of their fellowship, out of their care. Jesus hears what's going on, and he finds the man who had been blind while he's still with the leaders. Jesus asks the man, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" The man says, "Who is he? Tell me so that I may believe in him." Jesus says, "You have seen him, and the one speaking with you is he." The man says, "Lord, I believe." And he bows down and worships Jesus. It's what you do when you are in the presence of God. Jesus says, "I came into this world so that those who do not see may see, and those who do see may become blind." The leaders hear this, and some of them ask Jesus, "Surely we're not blind, right?" And then Jesus tells them, "Anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the door," the word is door, but it's translated gate because that's what a sheepfold has. "Anyone who climbs in by another way is a thief and a bandit. The door opens for the shepherd. The sheep follow the shepherd because they know his voice. He calls the sheep by name and they hear him." The leaders don't understand this metaphor. Hardly anyone understands Jesus in John's gospel. So Jesus tries again. I am the door, he says. I am the door. Whoever enters through me will go in for safety and come out again to find pasture. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. For the man who was blind, this really is being reborn. The leaders are trying to keep this man on the other side of the door, in the hell of exclusion, isolation, and poverty where they put people with disabilities. But the leaders can't do that, because Jesus is the door. The man who was blind is one of the sheep. Jesus has called him by name, as he will call Mary Magdalene by name on Easter morning to show her he has risen. The man who was blind has heard Jesus' voice and knows him. He follows Jesus. Jesus leads this man through the door of himself into safety with the other sheep. Jesus, the door, stands between this man and all who would threaten or harm him, as he will stand between the disciples and the soldiers on the night of his arrest. And when the man who had been blind is hungry and needs to be fed, Jesus leads this man through the door of himself to find pasture, everything he needs for life. That's why Jesus has come to this world God loves so much, to give abundant life. For the man who was blind, this is not some abstract promise of heaven after he dies. At least, it is not only that. It is real life, here and now. Community instead of isolation. Safety instead of vulnerability and constant fear. Daily bread instead of starvation. Hearing Jesus' voice and following him, Jesus providing all this man truly needs, being in relationship with Jesus, this is abundant life. No one can ever slam a door in this man's face again, because Jesus is the door. And wherever this man is, inside or out, Jesus guides him and lets him pass. We've got a complicated relationship with doors right now. Doors are protecting our health, our hospital system, and our essential workers. We close our doors to the outside world, we help to flatten the curve and reduce the spread of the virus to vulnerable people. Ohio has had fewer COVID cases than other states because we followed our governor's request to close our doors. Doors are also keeping us cooped up inside. For some of us, this has meant a little too much family togetherness. Many parents I know are near the breaking point. Couples are stressed and arguing more often. For some of us, we're feeling deprived of human contact. We desperately miss our friends and family. We long to touch the people who make our lives meaningful. We may be struggling to get out of bed in the morning, drinking more than is good for us, picking fights with loved ones, retreating into versions of ourselves that are anything but abundant life. We're behind these doors because we know we need to be, but we are tired of these doors being shut. As we sit here behind our closed doors, Jesus calls us by name and says, I am the door. I am the door, and I came that you may have life and have it abundantly. Jesus calls us by name and we follow him. He leads us through the door of himself to safety when we need it and to green pasture when we need that. Where we are isolated, Jesus gives us community. Where we are vulnerable and fearful, Jesus gives us strength and peace. Where we are hungry, Jesus gives us our daily bread. Jesus provides all we truly need. And when we are in relationship with him, we have abundant life, not only in the life to come, but here and now. Remember that door I asked you to picture a few minutes ago, and which side you were on? It turns out that it doesn't matter which side you're on, because Jesus is the door. And whether we are going in or coming out, as we pass through him, he brings us abundant life.